the breadth of the improvement that Donald Trump had. Holy Toledo. All right. Trump gained ground in 49 states and the District of Columbia compared to 2020. I went back through the record books. When was the last time a party gained in so many different places? You have to go all the way back to 1992 when Bill Clinton improved upon Michael Dukakis's performance in 49 states, plus the District of Columbia. The bottom line is no matter where you looked on the map, Kate Baldwin, no matter where you looked, Donald Trump was improving on where he did 4 years ago, except for Washington State. It is no wonder that at this particular point, he looks like he's going to be the first Republican to win the popular vote since George W. Bush back in 2004.
And to pull that off, he gained ground with groups that Republicans do not generally count as part of their winning coalition, or really at all. How much ground did he gain?
Yeah, holy Toledo. It's just like,
holy Toledo.
My goodness gracious.
Holy Toledo. Holy Toledo.
These are the types of groups that you would never have thought that Donald Trump would have gained so much support among 8 years ago when he first won against Hillary Clinton. Trump's was the best GOP showing among 18 to 29-year-olds in 20 years. You have to go all the way back to 2004. How about among black voters? It was the best performance for a Republican candidate for president in 48 years since Gerald Ford back in 1976. And among Hispanic voters, the exit polls only go back since 1972. But Donald Trump's performance on Tuesday was the best for a Republican presidential candidate in exit poll history. He literally goes all the way back through history and breaks history. This is what we're talking about, Kate Baldwin. Groups that you never thought that Donald Trump would do well among, even for a Republican candidate, that is what he did. If the 2016 election was about Donald Trump breaking through with white working class voters, this election was about breaking through and going to that Democratic coalition and tearing it apart.
And it wasn't just what he did for his own support. It trickled down to helping the Senate and helping in the House.
Yeah. So, a lot of talk this morning and this week is, the GOP is going to have a Senate majority. We don't know if the Republicans are going to have a House majority, but we think that that's the most likely to be the case. But I want you to look at the 2024 House GOP national vote showing. So this is the House popular vote. Currently, the GOP is ahead by 5 points. I expect that to shrink a little bit as some of the California results come in. But if let's just say he wins, the House GOP wins by more than 2.6 points, it will be the best House GOP showing in a presidential year in the House popular vote since 1928. If there's any viewer out there who is that old, God bless you. But the bottom line is it was probably the best House GOP national vote showing during most of our viewers' lifetimes.
I couldn't wait to get into this pork. Shout out to them beautiful patriots around the world, my brothers and sisters. I couldn't wait to get into this. I couldn't wait till he dropped this video. I couldn't wait. I'm sorry, y'all. I just couldn't wait. So enough of me talking. Let's just jump straight in, man. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Ah, man. We wishing the best in everybody's life, man, and prayers. Because we don't know what to expect next, man. Prayers for Trump, man. We still got till January, y'all. We still got to January, man. We don't know what to expect next.
Democrats are in complete shambles right now following their worst election performance in 36 years. This is likely what the electoral map will look like with margins after all the votes are counted. There is still some counting left to do, and of course I will give you guys a complete update after we do get the finalized numbers. But for now, it's clear Trump is going to win 312 electoral votes, Harris just 226. Trump is going to go 7 for 7 in the swing states. I think we're pretty familiar with these results, though. Now, in terms of the official projections from the major news sources, every state has been called already except for Nevada and Arizona. We will get projections there pretty soon, and of course, they will all go to Trump by at least 1%. But the former president has already officially flipped 4 states: Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. All 4 of these races went to Biden in 2020. But something that I do want to show you guys in this video is just how significant the shift towards Trump has been all across the country. This chart maps out how each state shifted in comparison to 2020. Basically, we took Harris's margin today and subtracted Joe Biden's margin from 2020. You can see just how glaring it is for Kamala Harris and the vice president. In 49 of the 50 states, Trump performed better this time than he did in the last election. In 49 out of 50, it may be surprising because he did win the election, but 49 out of 50 is quite significant because even when Joe Biden won in 2020, there were still a handful of states where his performance was actually worse than that of Hillary Clinton's 4 years prior. We'll now take a look at some specific examples. I mean, there are some states where Democrats just took an absolute nosedive compared to where they were 4 years ago, but we're going to start with the good news for Kamala Harris. There is one state, 1 out of 50, where she outperformed Joe Biden by less than 1%, and that is the state of Utah. I mean, it basically didn't shift at all, but that's the only place where Kamala Harris did not do worse than Joe Biden in terms of margin. We also do have the 1st District of Nebraska, but that obviously isn't its own state. But in both of these examples, Harris's outperformance of Biden's margin was by less than 1 point, so it couldn't be any less. But now for the fun stuff, we'll start off with the swing states. 6 of the 7 swinged towards Trump by 1 to 5%. Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, and Arizona. 5 of the 6 voted for Joe Biden in the last election, so all 6 except for North Carolina. They were all flips for the incumbent president in 2020, but today Trump is on track to flip all of them back. They're all races the former president carried back in 2016, and so with these shifts, this is what helped Trump win the election. You can see that on average, the entirety of the map, the entire country, basically swung towards Trump by around 5 points. In Nevada, Trump is actually going to outperform his 2020 margin by more than 5 points. It's going to be just over 5. Currently, he leads by 5% in the state. That margin is going to continue going down as more of these final votes are counted, but considering that Joe Biden carried the silver state by 2.5 points in 2020, Nevada is going to swing at least 5 points to the right. Kamala Harris is not going to make up a 2.5% margin, so it's the only one of the 7 swing states that is in this Trump 5 to 10 category, and it really signifies that Nevada is no longer a blue state. Republicans won the governorship there in 2020. Today, Trump is going to win Nevada in the presidential election by basically 5%. It might be just under that, but Nevada is now a state that trends towards the Republicans slightly more. I mean, other incredible examples of Kamala Harris's poor performance. I mean, basically throughout the entirety of the Sun Belt, in most of these races, Trump outperformed his 2020 performance by 5 to 10 points. I mean, Texas and Florida, it was a bloodbath for the vice president. They are both solid red states, Trump winning both of them by 12 percentage points or more, record margins for the former president. For context, Trump only won Texas by 5 in the last election, in Florida by 3. And I said this many times, Trump is going to perform better in Texas and Florida than he ever has. Looking at the margins, Texas will go to the former president by 14, Florida by a whopping 13. This is the best performance for any candidate in the Sunshine.
Let me go and take a pause of that, y'all. Y'all know, born and raised where I resided, Houston, Texas. It's gonna go purple. It's gonna go blue. Whoosh. When them votes started coming in, it was looking blue. Y'all seen it? When them votes started coming in, I said, oh, wait a minute. Maybe Beyonce might have had an effect. But nah, it didn't work. Nah, them celebrities don't have no pull. Yeah, sorry, Hollywood.
State since 1988. Trump also did quite well in Iowa and Ohio. He broke the double-digit barrier in both races, like I had said. Iowa, Trump won by 13 points, even though we had that final Des Moines Register poll conducted with Ann Seltzer that had Kamala Harris leading by 3, and that had Republicans panicking and Democrats thinking they were going to win in a landslide. That poll ended up being 16 percentage points off. In Ohio, Trump also breaks 10 points. He's going to win the state by 11%. He won both of of them by 8 in 2020, just for context. But I mean, in all of these reliably Republican states that aren't exactly the most solid, Trump has broken records. He's performed better than any Republican in these states in the last few decades. I mean, Iowa and Ohio used to be top battlegrounds, but they are now firmly within the Republican column. New Mexico was terrible for Kamala Harris too, and I mentioned this. It was a result of the Hispanic vote shifting significantly to the right. I mean, that was a talking point I brought up over and over again, but New Mexico really did become incredibly competitive. Kamala Harris is going to win the state by just over 5 points, even though Joe Biden carried it by 11 in the last election. In Minnesota, Joe Biden won Minnesota by 7 points. Kamala Harris is going to win it by just 4. In New Hampshire, Joe Biden won this state by 7 as well. Harris is going to win by 3. And in Virginia, Joe Biden won this Commonwealth by a double-digit margin. Kamala Harris is going to win by just half. Before we continue, I want to tell you guys about Polymarket, the world's largest prediction.
Boy, them boys ain't good. Some of them people ain't good, boy. Y'all comment down below with y'all on the market, man. Some of y'all got paid out, huh? Yeah, man.
Literally from California. She served many offices in the city of San Francisco. She was also California Attorney General, and then she was a U.S. Senator from California for 4 years before becoming Vice President in 2021. And in her home state, this is literally where she calls home, she wins California by 17 points. This is an abysmal margin. Once again, the worst margin for Democrats going back 30 years. For context, Joe Biden won California by nearly 30 just 4 years ago. Out east in New York and New Jersey, it couldn't have been more of a disaster for Democrats here. I mean, Joe Biden won New York by 23 points in 2020. The Empire State is a solid blue stronghold, but Kamala Harris, she comes in, she wins New York by 12 percentage points. It really couldn't be any worse than that. And I mean, I got a lot of hate for saying that New York was going to be competitive, but ultimately, I was proven right here. New York is among the most competitive states in the entire country, and if you want to see an even closer race, just look at New Jersey. I mean, this really was incredible. Donald Trump came within 5 points of flipping New Jersey, a state that even Hillary Clinton won by a solid margin in 2016, 14%. Joe Biden won it by 16 in 2020, and now with Harris at the top of the Democratic ticket, she carries the state by just 1/3 of the previous 2 margins. And so Democrats are crumbling in states that they never thought could even be remotely competitive, and it really does seem that Trump's campaigning in solid blue states like New York, New Jersey, and California has proven to be extremely effective. I mean, I do think that's enough hating on the vice president for now, though, but I mean, just look at this map. It's a sea of red. Donald Trump led a red tsunami through the country 2 nights ago. This is going to be a night to remember for Republicans, and Democrats are going to be reeling from this for the next decade or maybe even the next 2, because Trump has completely changed the electoral landscape. He showed that Republicans can win the popular vote. Democrats are going to struggle more than ever in the Midwest and in the Sun Belt, and without these races, there really is nowhere for them to go. And so ultimately, Trump will get to 312. This was realistically his best case scenario. He never was going to win Minnesota or New Hampshire. Our country is simply too polarized for that to happen. But I mean, Trump 312, 226 for Kamala Harris. This was basically a ceiling. He could not have done any better. It's a modern day landslide.
And just one thing, I think Virginia is still iffy to me, y'all. I'm just saying. Virginia is still iffy to me. I thought he was going to pull that one out.
Trump handed Republicans a trifecta. They're going to control all facets of the government for the next 2 years, and it's time for us to see what they're going to do with that newfound power. But I mean, Trump, he delivered on what he set out to do. He gave Republicans their strongest victory, I believe, in 40 years. This actually does match up quite well, though, to my forecast on October 26th. This was the second last forecast that I put out. Donald Trump at 312 electoral votes, Kamala Harris at 226. At this point, I still use the 2-7-15 margin model, and so with this model, the margins were almost spot on in nearly every single race. However, ultimately, with my...
It's crazy, bro. Bro predicted 2020. I mean, man, I told y'all, man. I tried telling you. We only put the best sources on the channel. We only use the best sources. And y'all was in the comments, no, that ain't it. No. No, especially them Kamala, the left. No, oh no. She's gonna win in a landslide. I tried to tell y'all.
My final update, I did give Kamala Harris a little bit more in Wisconsin and Michigan. I just thought the early voting numbers looked slightly better for her. Obviously, Trump proved me wrong in the very end, but I'm happy with my track record. I do believe that throughout the entirety of this cycle, I've given you guys a pretty clear and accurate prediction of the election. I hope you guys have enjoyed our coverage. Of course, it's not over yet. We still have more results coming in. The Senate map isn't finalized. The House map isn't finalized yet either. And of course, we don't even have the final results from the presidential election yet as well. I mean, California, only half the votes are counted. So there is still some counting left to do, some results left to project. But as of right now, Republicans should be feeling incredible about what they were able to do on November 5th.
Yeah, man. Yeah, buddy.